Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Master Grade Gundam Stormbringer PF. And if you feel like you've seen this before, well, you definitely have, because there was the Master Grade Stormbringer, the Gym Turbulence, the other Gym Turbulence. I think there may have been another Gym Stormbringer that was in, I don't know, another color, but there was a whole bunch of these before. This one right here is the PF, and it is a relatively new version of it. This right here is a premium Bandai release only, so if you do want one of these of your own, I got mine through those fantastic people over at Buy, so I will throw a link down there in the description. Now let's get this built. Alright, so here we go. This is going to be a little bit of a risky build, because I don't know if you've ever had a kit like this where you kind of keep getting interrupted while you're building it by something you have to do or something more important or something like that, and you kind of have to put it back in the box and you're not quite finished. And then the box moves all around the place and you're just hoping that everything is still intact inside of it. Now, I do still have a leg finished, at least, dog hairs included. I don't actually have any build footage of these because I wasn't really planning on filming the build of this particular one, but I will from here on out. Again, exactly the same as what we would have seen from the Stormbringers so far, just in a really nice, new, subtle yet cool color scheme. This is heavily based on a bunch of other kits, including the Gym Sniper 2, one of the best Master Grades of all time, which is heavily based on the Master Grade Gundam 2.0. Overall, very nice. Not a whole lot of stuff moves on it per se. A few bits here and there in usual Master Grade fashion, but otherwise quite simple. Just a lot of interesting geometry to it. But now moving on to the waist section, I will mention this kit is quite the runner hopper. So if you don't like kits that have a million runners, because it's kind of like a chimera of kits, this one might be a little bit on the difficult side. For example, sometimes you're working with like 10 plus runners per body part. Just like this waist unit right here, you've got bits of Gym Sniper 2 runners, you've got bits of Gundam 2.0, various different Gym Turbulences and Stormbringers. So you might, like I said, have 10 runners and you'll only be snipping one piece off each. It's definitely an interesting kit if you've never built a build style Master Grade hybrid quite like this one. First off, inside of the waist we do have a polycap. This waist right here is direct from the Granddaddy Gundam 2.0. I think what's actually really crazy, this is also from that particular kit as well, but what I think is really crazy about this kit is it's an absolute staple, widely regarded as fantastic, and I don't think I've ever built it. These pieces right here are from the Q Runner, which I believe is brand new for this particular variant of the Gundam Stormbringer, so adding a nice new element of detail. These kind of raised fin sections right here, very, very Naoki style design. So mix here of old and new as they pop together. Next up is the front skirting armors. Ball joint pops in from behind like so. Some extremely high contrast armor popping on top of that. And another little piece pops just in there. They pop in from the top, Gundam 2.0 style. You actually have to bust out the C Runner on this kit just for this one little platform piece right here. Butt flap, if I'm not mistaken, is straight from the Gym Sniper 2. Got this little segment which attaches like this, and then that pops onto it with this little segment right here, and that is for attaching the beam sabers onto. And funnily enough, and what's quite interesting, is the beam sabers in here are essentially black. They're a very, very, very dark clear blue that borders on black, and that's cool. But yeah, then butt flap on, just like so. The side skirts on this kit are new for this kit too, and I've never seen side skirts ever like this before. They're almost like a canister or a bit of cylinder. That's cool. Alright, a million runner hops later to get the parts for the torso, and here we are. Man, this kit is quite the hybrid. Anyway, this section once again is a little bit of a hybrid. The shoulders are quite complex. They're a nice design from the original RX 78 2.0 Master Grade. They build up with this little piston section. We actually do have a little functioning piston that sticks in there like so. Then we have the aspects that will make up the actual shoulder joint. That just attaches on into that just like so. So definitely all these years later, still extremely impressively detailed. So there we go. There is both shoulders with their nice moving aspects. Very nice piece of collar armor. Again, very Naoki with those really large collar sections. Next up is the cockpit, and this little section here, this chair, you actually need to have a runner on your desk just for that chair for this particular body part. That's how many little bits and pieces are in it. There's the pilot figure. Man, I feel like I haven't seen a traditional style master grade cockpit like this in some time. I know we built the Victory 2 very recently, but that has more of a kind of a jet cockpit kind of feel to it. Anyway, once he's in there, that closes up just like so, so there's not really a whole lot of actual door access there. And then what we just built slots into that little collar section just like so. Nice sandwiching. Now moving down to what I'm pretty sure is the ab crunch. One little bit of a hinge there, another one then pops in, and that all holds together. And I always appreciate when they put a little bit of detail on the end of the peg, like this kind of almost screw looking aspect. A little bit of armor then slots onto that. That then pops onto the bit we just built onto this little peg, and the torso's starting to come together. Woo! I know this is meant to not be a build diver's particular kit, so that's not actually a guy who's in there. This is a, well, I'm not sure, I guess a 1:1 scale replica of the model in the manga or novel, but that just seems a little bit cruel. That just closes up and stays closed. It's a bit Warhammer Dreadnought right there. Next up, we're onto the chest armor. It's one big plate with some nice detail. These yellow sections slide on in from the back like so. We've got some vortex generators then that pop in on the chest. One of my favorite details on a mobile suit, definitely. And that just pops onto the bit we had just attached on there. So definitely no opening cockpit on this kit. We do have a couple of stickers to attach on. Stickers on a Master Grade does feel a little bit on the blasphemous side, but on popping them on, they're really not so bad. So just a blue foil right there and another quasi foil blue little sensor looking bit there. They're nice little details. And speaking of details, that's all that's left of building up the torso. It's just popping on the last few surface elements that kind of give this its detail. Some classic Gundam feeling chest vents right there. These little sections up here definitely giving it somewhat of a Gundam wing vibe, but these, as far as I know, aren't kind of Vulcans. And lastly then there's this, which is really cool. This is its cockpit cover. So quite a large armored section that does pop on down there. That is a nice torso. So next up onto the arms, and these are something we've seen countless times before in so many different Gundam kits. So this right here is the RX 78 2.0's elbow, and it's been used in so many different kits. That's what it looks like on the inside. This bit then sandwiches on top like so. We've got some piston elements which slide, which attach in like that and like that. So when you actually move this up, they slide with it. And the same goes down on the bottom end in exactly the same way. This is one of those rare situations in a kit where you really do have to pay attention to the orientation of the parts, because you can put this in wrong. And then when it does come to trying to turn the elbow later on, let's just say it's not going to bend. A little bit more armor. The arm sections then with the pistons just slides on inside of that like so. Upper bicep armor section like that. Just like the rest of the arm, this polycap wrist I've seen 1,000 times before, and that just pops in here to kind of give it an extra little bit of a joint. Just like that. We have some armor and weapon sections from the back of the forearms. It attaches on simply like that. I'm pretty sure this elbow right here is straight out of the Gym Sniper 2, as is the hand right here, which has hands that harken all the way back to the Gundam Age, I think. Basically, it's the style with the semi-articulated thumb. Actually, fully articulated thumb. That's held in with a rear armor like that. And again, the fingers are the Age style fingers, which are on pretty much a lot of the more recent Master Grade UC grunts. The shoulder joint in here has been around a long time as well, if I'm not mistaken. This is also from the Master Grade Granddaddy 2.0. Little section here that goes on over the polycap. And then we've got this little section here, which it pops on inside of. The shoulder here at its core is the Gym Sniper 2 again, so we're retrofitting parts onto that. This here is similar to previous Stormbringers, but not exactly the same. We do have some new little armor sections to make it a little bit different. Little shoulder vent cover, and this part right here I'm pretty sure is brand new for this kit, followed by this little bar section right here for up on the shoulder. The final assembly of the arm then just involves popping this segment in here, holds on by pressure. That then attaches on Gym Sniper 2 style onto that, and that whole thing moves up and over the shoulder like that. So it is a tall shoulder armor. Finally then the hand pops on just like that right there, and there is the arm. So yeah, so far so good. This is so classic in its internal structure from the Master Grade Gundam 2.0, and then it has a bunch of other aspects that gives it that Gym Sniper feel on top. Overall, a nice Chimera, but a little bit tedious to kind of find all the parts. Okay, so onto the backpack. First off, we've got a pair of verniers with some nice yellow on the inside. These just then pop into the backpack segments like that and like that. Super simple. We've got this little armor section right here that pops in. This is the part that will stick into the back. This Stormbringer brings the storm with this big old shoulder cannon. Looks just like that. The knobs are a little bit obvious. You might want to, on this plastic, file them off instead of snipping them off. Some extra pieces for that. We've got a barrel attaches on like so, rear kind of exhaust aspect which attaches on like this, and this top piece of armor which just goes on the top like this. So nice, simple, but effective. The joint it attaches into has a sliding mechanism, and again just two parts, quite simple yet again. Continuing on with the backpack, we've got a piece that attaches on like so. This next bit then attaches in just like that. Oh, that's an interesting connection. The thrusters then pop in through that like so. There they are. Got a big old circular yellow, well, metallic yellow, I don't even know if I'd call it gold, which attaches onto this here, which is a little bit of not a great idea because it's a flat sticker onto a rounded surface, and that never really looks that great. You would be better off painting that. Definitely. That attaches onto this side as a sight. And then we have some nice yellow thrusters which attach in like so. And then just lock in to position with this piece like that. That is the same on the other side. I feel like I'm missing something. Yeah, most definitely. The cannon. So yeah, don't forget to pop that in first like that. And then it locks in with that bit. So that's nice. What this can do is move up like that to aim up over the shoulder and move back and in to just kind of move out of the way a bit. Alright, so finally onto the head, and there are two options in here, a gym one and a Gundam. We'll start with the Gundam, and thankfully, unlike the last kit that had two head options being the Begarbeu Torch, this you can actually build both heads. None of them, well, there's no parts shared between the two of them, so that means if you do want to switch from the Gundam to the gym, it's just a simple head swap. Sadly, the eyes on this is just a sticker. I guess nowadays it just kind of feels like a little bit of a letdown when you get that instead of some nice color separated eyes. But anyway, sticker gets the job done decently enough. Alright, so the eyes slide on into the back of the head just like so. The muzzle section then pops in after like that. The front of the head pops on, so as you can see, it's a very simple head with the standard little seam down the side. The V-fin we get in here is brand new for this kit, kind of tucks in and back in a peculiar-ish way. It is a nice double V-fin and it is color separated. This is a white segment right here, just in case the light is blowing that out a bit. We've got little sensor stickers for on that white section of the V-fin, not awesome. And finally we got a little bit of a central aspect that pops on like so and holds it all together. Now, one nice thing when it comes to these kind of kits right here, when you do end up with a alternate V-fin compared to the last release, it means that on the runners we do have the old one, and the old one on the Stormbringer was extremely nice. Small little fins and a nice big central section, so I'm going to be stealing that for using on something, definitely. So yes, in here we do have two head options, both completely included. This is the Gym Turbulence version, and this builds up so similar to the Gym Sniper 2, which definitely is a good thing. Now, if I was spending a little bit more time on this, I would do something with that central bit right there to make it pop a little bit more. Either cut out a bit of foil sticker or something for on it, or even better, paint it in a nice chrome, just so it pops a little more under this helmet and isn't lost. So just kind of reflect the light out where this, well, the little mono eye section is in the center. Next up, this section right here is straight from the Gym Sniper 2 and can be a little bit hard to add the clear section in there. And if you do find it difficult, I always usually use some blue tack on the end of something like a file or something like that in order to attach it in. So you can stick it onto the blue tack and then guide it into where you need it to go. Okay, so we've got some parts from the side of the head for holding the visor in position. So again, a super Gym Sniper style head right here. We've got a little bit of a part that attaches on up here, has a little bit of a sticker underneath, and finally then we've got this big old Pat Labor kind of ear on the side. Now there is a white sticker for using up on the very tip of this, but that would just be a pain in the arse to use, so I'm just going to leave it just as it is. So there, two heads in the kit. Okay, so on to the final assembly. So this is a very, very nice kit, just like the whole bunch of them have been so far. No matter how many of them I do build, they never do get dull. They're just so much fun. I think it's because they're based on such great kits, just like the Gym Sniper 2 itself, which is always an incredible joy to build. So on with the legs, these are just standard non-moving hips. Well, the hips move, but they just don't drop or swing down in any kind of way. The odd cylindrical skirting armors which pop onto the side. There is the other side. Next up then is the arms on there and on there, looking ridiculously nice so far. Get in there, right? Some fuel tanks for popping into the backpack, just like this. It's just polycap ball joints, so very simple. The backpack attaches on like so. And finally, then you do have your choice of heads. So if you want a Gym Turbulence, that just pops on just like so for that cool Gym Sniper feel. Honestly, out of the two, this is the one I prefer. But of course, the Gundam one always kind of packs that Gundam punch. And that just pops on just like that. Looking crazy dynamic. So jumping on into the aesthetics finally, and I do have a little bit of time to actually do a bit of a review on this, but if you do want something that's a little bit more in depth, I did do a full review of the, well, pretty much every version of the Stormbringer, but mainly the Stormbringer itself. There's been multiple iterations of this, and each one looking awesome. I know I'm very, very guilty of doing this all the time, but this one looks particularly cool. I really like the subdued grey on grey color scheme with that pop of yellow and the blue on it too. It's very unique. Again, this is one of those kits that could really do with a panel lining because there's a lot of detail molded into this that isn't really popping right out of the box, but it is there and it's just looking for those nice dark low lights. As far as Gundam designs go, this is both kind of familiar but at the same time very, very unique. The head gives me a tiny bit of a strike vibe, and of course there is a lot of Gym Sniper 2 in there as well, with a lot of Naoki's typical design elements. This is greebles all over it, layers upon layers upon layers molded onto the detail that just look incredible. It looks like it's just got tons and tons of layers of heavy armor. However, while I'm mentioning that, I was looking at the manual and I did see that it is not 100% color accurate out of box. There is a couple of aspects that will need a bit of detailing up. A quick example of which is this little section right here I was mentioning earlier on. It's a nice little cockpit hatch cover, but if you do take a peek on the instructions, that is meant to be in a grey. Also, these little segments down on the sides of the legs on the thrusters, those are just in a solid shade of light grey, and the same goes up on these cool bars up on the shoulder. The actual bar section right there is meant to be in a dark grey as well. All of these things, of course, you could detail up yourself, and this is without a doubt a master grade that does need a little bit of additional effort out of the box once you are done with it. All of them technically do, it's just some shine a little bit more, have a lot more color separation than others. And this is one right here that could do with a little bit more. I'll also mention there is a couple of structural aspects I noticed a little bit of a problem with as well, and that would include the polycaps on these guys back here could be a little bit tighter, so I do recommend tightening those up yourself or they'll keep on drooping down. And speaking of drooping down, the joints I did mention inside of the waist right here, these ones right here I showed during the build, these ones you're going to have to tighten them up as well because they are, well, from a Gundam that didn't have this much loaded onto it. So that does mean when you're actually trying to get this kit posed and you bring that joint up, it will eventually kind of just start flopping back on you just like so. It's not all of the time, but it does happen. And given that a little bit of reinforcement will definitely help you from losing poses after getting them just right. In proper premium Bandai style, this is a kit that does have a whole bunch of nice decals, white and black, so they'll make those parts pop very, very nicely against the various colors on the kit. Once again, I don't know what they were thinking naming the team this. I guess they are defenders of their chastity. But yeah, overall, some nice decals in here. These were the stickers. I used the vast majority of them. This white one is the only real color correcting one, and like I mentioned, that is for on the very tip of this, which actually would be probably easier to just paint white than try to wrap a sticker around it and not have it look like absolute arse. I'll also try this on in the accessory, so if you do want to see this one on, I'll do that then. Finally, now jumping into a size comparison, there it is beside two versions of the Master Grade RX-78-2. The Origin on the left, the version 3.0 on the right. A couple more random kits off the shelf. That is the Master Grade Hyakushiki 2.0 on the left and the Full Mechanics 1100 Gundam Aerial on the right. And beside a couple more kits on the left is also from the exact same Build Diver spin-off, also designed by Naoki. This right here is the Reborn 100 Gundam Lindworm. On the right hand side is one of the newest Master Grade Gundams of them all, and that is the Master Grade Narrative Gundam Verka. So now jumping into the accessories, and there is the Master Grade Gundam Stormbringer PF with absolutely everything that it comes with. Ignore what's in the background there. It's starting to get a little bit cluttered up from all the videos I've been doing recently, but what we get in here is the Gatling gun, double beam cannon, 2 beam sabers, the alternate head which is the Jim Turbulence head, a whole bunch of swappable fingers, and a base adapter. When it comes to the hands in here, these we've seen quite often, all the way back to, I think, the Jim Sniper 2, as well as kits like Gundam Age. Mainly the Jim Sniper 2. Basically, you've got yourself a bending finger like this, articulation on the thumb, and then in order to swap out the fingers, they just pop off like so, and then you just attach in the ones that you want, swappable like so. So there you got a fist. So what we've gotten here is the widespread ones we've seen throughout the review, fists, as well as beam saber and rifle holding hands. Next up in here, we've got a pair of beam sabers in probably the most unique color I've ever seen. These are in a blue, but they're almost black. Now, if I pop these in front of a light, you'll see that they are actually a very, very dark transparent blue. That is definitely unique. So getting them in the hands just requires popping off the fingers, popping these then into the holding fingers, just like so, and then they just pop into the hand just like so. These are okay, not fantastic. If you get them into the hand just right, they're not going to fall out, but it doesn't take too much to knock them out. They're kind of just held in with a bit of pressure. But that's what the beam saber looks like once it's attached. Now, that is not the only option we have in here. There is a hole in the bracers on the arms. So if you just grab a beam from a beam saber, you can just pop them in just like so. And this is my favorite kind of beam weapon, one that is arm mounted. It just seems like such a good idea to have it always ready to go. So that is pretty awesome. And when the beam sabers are in non-use, they can be stored on the butt flap just like this and like this. Now, this is just a simple peg in hole, so these can be quite likely to be knocked off and are a little bit of a loss risk. So I think the Gundam head has been on this for long enough, so just popping it off, you need to get the neck too. So if the neck stays in there, you're gonna have to grab that. That's not so simple, it seems. The neck for the Jim Dominance is a different kind of connection, so it just pops out like so. The Dominance head just pops in like that, and there we go. That is what that version or that head looks like. Again, pretty awesome. You can move the visor down over the face like a Jim Sniper, or just leave it open like so. And there is a full body shot of what it looks like with that head on, so definitely a very cool option. Continuing on with the weapons, and we've got the double beam cannon, which looks just like this right here. And we do have the handle section right here like this. Attaching it on requires popping in the fingers with the trigger finger. This holds on well because we do have a tab in it. That then attaches into the hand just like that. For this configuration, the bracer section has to be removed off the back, and then the cannon section attaches in there onto the peg on the back of the arm. And this can be done on either or side, so the left or the right. And the only thing that really moves on this is the little side section that can go side to side like that. Last up then in here is this. This is the exact same little bit of a tripod turret that we saw with one of the Jim Dominances. It can move up and down like this right here, but for this kit, you can actually get rid of the tripod entirely, fold this up into that position, and then it can be attached onto the rear of the arm. Now this can go on this way, pointing backwards as a stored form, or you can actually flip it forward just like this for an actual in-use version. Now the shoulder is having a little bit of issues holding this up. Again, these shoulders were designed for the Oryx 78 2.0, so they do have some issues sometimes with just general integrity and strength. It is an older kit at its core, but with a little bit of squeezing and adjusting, it kind of worked out fine. So there it is, 2 weapons. Beam cannon on this side, Gatling on the other, and not to forget that big old shoulder cannon up on the shoulder, which can pull up and move over the shoulder like that. So finally now into the articulation, and first off I will mention the build on this. The build on this is flimsy. So the waist right here, when you're building it, thicken that up if you don't have the kit already. Same with these shoulders in here. These get real jank real quick. But besides that, the rest of it's quite good. These are not the greatest either, but that's one. See? I'll just move that on out of the way. So yeah, one, these guys. Two, the inside mechanisms of the shoulders and the inside mechanism of the waist. Thicken and tighten that up while building to save yourself a lot of headaches and a lot of it kind of just flopping a bit. But anyway, test pose. So on getting this into the test pose, it did lose a couple of parts and there are some issues definitely with the build. This is definitely a chimeric master grade right here, and it does suffer slightly from being that. However, if you are experienced with these particular aspects of these particular kits, especially the Gym Sniper and the Oryx 78 2.0 parts, you shouldn't have too much of an issue. Again, some parts will kind of fragment off, but it is a very complex kit with some dated aspects. This is the best you'll get out of the pose. You don't really have too much of the ankle moving off to the side. Wait, I'm getting a little bit more out of it. It's still, not too bad. Yeah. This is definitely one of those kits that's not incredible out of box. Definitely some cement and some thickening required. Some detailing as well for some of the parts that aren't detailed up. Again, not the most fantastic out-of-box build, but then again, not the worst either. Bye. So yeah, that right there is it for the review, and I'm going to give this gold tier. Now, I did kind of mill over this a little bit because there are a lot of issues, so I'm just going to kind of go with it. Good. Aesthetically, it looks absolutely fantastic. It's beautiful. It's great. Negative aesthetically, there are some parts that will need detailing up that aren't color accurate out of box, but again, not the worst. When it comes to the accessories in here, they're a whole lot of fun, definitely. They all work out well, and there isn't really much to say. The extra head in here to choose between either type is really, really cool. There's a lot of options of how you use everything, and that's fun. Finally then, when it does come to the build of the kit and the articulation, this is definitely where it suffers the most. Again, a lot of parts will need to be cemented up while you're actually building this up, and some parts will need to be tightened, otherwise you're going to get a bit of a floppy mess because it is a hybrid and not everything works together absolutely perfectly, but it's still pretty awesome. If you do want one of your own, link is down there in the description. I got mine through Buy. I'll see you again tomorrow for another Gundam video. Bye-bye. Once again, I can't finish this video right here without special thanks to the channel members and the patrons over on Patreon, including Simon Paskin, Abraxas, Caleb Engelhart, Joe, RG59061, ShadowWolf179, Van Fawn, and Scotty Thomas.